अंतर्राष्ट्रीय पर्यावरण कार्यकर्ता ग्रेटा थनबर्ग ने दिया किसान आंदोलन के पक्ष में फिर से बयान। ग्रेटा थनबर्ग ने दिया किसान आंदोलन के पक्ष में फिर से बयान। ग्रेटा थनबर्ग ने एक इंटरव्यू के दौरान फिर से किसान आंदोलन का समर्थन जताया है।
The vitriol against you was especially high in India last month. That's because you spoke out in support of the ongoing protests there regarding the agricultural reforms, and especially in light of internet shutdowns enacted there to quell the protests. People like you, Rihanna, and others spoke out. And it seemed to prompt huge outrage. I mean, politicians and major Bollywood and cricket stars suggested that you were engaging in anti-India propaganda. There were effigies and photos of you burned in the streets of India. What did you make of this reaction to your comments?
It just shows how privileged I am to actually live in a part of the world where I can speak up without facing like risks, because people in many parts of the world, like India for instance, they risk their freedom, and I mean huge risk just for speaking up, just for peacefully protest. And yeah, it just made me realize how lucky I am to live in this part of the world.
Let me ask you a little bit about your support of these protests, because you know, the old way of doing things, the existing agricultural system in India involves crop burning and ways of using water that are not really in line with your environmental activism. How do you reconcile your support for the protests with the farmers' practices?
Well, I mean, this is not a question about the environment mainly. This is a question of basic human rights. And so, I mean, this is not about the environment. Sometimes this is about basic human rights, basically. The right to protest.
So your support of them is not necessarily in support of their cause per se, but their right to protest.
Yeah, and for the fact that they should, I mean, many people have suffered greatly, and that's, I mean, the reason for their protests is inequality, and that if we reduce this to about environment, I mean, because these problems are so interlinked, it's like we are separating people. Like, you cannot be for human rights and for climate, and I mean that's just wrong.